Clock is ticking as we approach that fiscal cliff. Economists say the automatic combo of tax hikes and spending cuts may plunge the country into another recession. Tax increases on wealthy Americans are the big sticking point, it seems, because of an anti-tax pledge many Republicans have signed. But should those same Republicans back off the pledge and make a deal? And what do the Democrats have to do through all this?
Well, Oklahoma Senator Jim Inhofe joins us live now with his thoughts. All right, Senator, should Republicans back away from the pledge?
No, Gretchen, I don't think so. You know, if you do that, you're assuming that there's no other way to do this, and there's many other ways to get this done. And, you know, I actually introduced a bill long before the election that covers a way to come up with the amount of money, not 1.2 trillion, but 2.7 trillion, and increase spending in the military. It's, you know, to block grant some of these things like Medicare and the food stamp program back to the states, have medical malpractice reform, shrink the federal workforce by attrition. I've got the bill, and it's there, and I want people to look it up because it's Senate Bill 3473. It solves the problem. And we have other ways of doing it. Whatever happened to the old Democrats? Remember, it was Kennedy way back in the 60s that said we've got to raise more money, more revenue for the Great Society programs, and the best way to increase revenue is to reduce marginal rates. He did it, and what happened? He increased the amount of money that came from marginal rates from 94 billion to 153 billion. Then along came Reagan, the same thing. The total amount of money raised by marginal rates in 1980 was 244 billion. At the end of that decade, it was 466 billion, and that was during the decade of the real streamlining of taxes and tax reductions. So that's the way we can grow it. For every 1% increase in the economic activity, that produces $40 billion of new revenue. We've got to get that through their heads. And that, again, that wasn't a Republican notion. That was a Democrat notion.
Senator, I know you're not going to get everything you want, and Democrats theoretically aren't going to get everything they want. So what do you have to see on the other side for you to give it all in any of these things? What movement has to be made?
I'd like to see them try some different things. First of all, let's recognize the fact that we have the deficits right now as a result of Obama's budgets. That's 5.3 trillion. That's in his budget. He signed that. We have a lot of the programs that should be undone. I'm going to give you an example. We had a Democrat president back in the 90s, Bill Clinton, while we had a Republican majority in the House and the Senate. We did welfare reform. We put work back into welfare, and it was tremendously successful.
Right.
We decreased the welfare rolls from 5 million to 3 million. Now, Obama's reversed that.
Right.
And now we have, it's gone up in the food stamp program right now. It's gone up from 28 million families to 47 million. That's just one of the things that can be reversed that got us into this mess to start with. We've got to have to try some of these things.
Senator, why does it appear, and obviously the election was a result of it, why does it appear that President Obama wins the PR campaign on this entire discussion?
Well, Gretchen, I represent Oklahoma. He hasn't won it there.
But he's winning it across the country.
Well, I know he's a very persuasive person. That doesn't mean that as a member of the United States Senate that you have to look at public opinion and say, well, he's going to win this thing. Again, I've got 20 kids and grandkids that are depending on me to reverse this thing.
What do Republicans need to do to get a better PR message out there to combat? I mean, when you look at the math and what you're talking about, it makes a lot of sense. But why is that message not out there?
I don't know. Maybe we're not as persuasive as Obama is, perhaps. But in this case, you know, so long as we let people know, that's what I'm doing right now. I'm saying there are other alternatives. This obsession that the president has for tax increases is something that it's got to get around, and Republicans are going to turn into Democrats if we don't.
Yeah, Senator, thanks so much. We'll look forward to the next few days to see if there's going to be any movement and things are going to be any different this 4 years than the last 4 years. Senator James Inhofe, thank you very much.